What's up, y'all? I hope everybody's doing all right. In this video, I want to talk about Tyson Chandler real quick. I think he was recently. Well, I saw a video recently of him on All the Smoke, the podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and it was good to see him because he's from California like I am. He's from the LA area like I am. He's lived in Compton. I've lived in Compton. I'm not from Compton. I wasn't born and raised in Compton, but I've lived in Compton many years. In my childhood and when I got older, I got married and I ended up moving to Compton and marrying the woman that was my wife at the time. And then we moved to the Valley, which is Moreno Valley, which is also where I stayed in my childhood as well. So I was born in LA, but I lived a lot of years in the Valley, and I was kind of back and forth from LA to the IE, which is the IE stands for Inland Empire. You got a lot of great cities out there. A lot of people know about, and a lot of people don't know about. Now, a lot of people in the world know about Rancho Cucamonga because it's in next Friday, and they highlighted that city in next Friday, which was cool because that is kind of how. There's no kind of about it. That is how the Valley looks. It's a lot of homes, a lot of mountains, a lot of different nice little cities with their signature elements to it. But while I was living in the Valley, Tyson Chandler was in a tournament, and he was on an all-star team that was from LA, but there was also an all-star team that was formed in the IE, the Inland Empire, in Riverside. So Tyson Chandler, I was in 8th grade at this time. As a matter of fact, Tyson Chandler and I are the same age. And matter of fact, we're the same age and we're the same zodiac sign. Not that that's that important like that, but I'm a Libra, he's a Libra. Speaking of, I got the scales, you know what I'm saying? Been had this for years. Got to add a little more stuff to it, but I've been a thoroughbred Libra for a long time. I mean, I'm my own person, so I don't live myself. I don't live by no book, you know. I'm going to always be evolving in myself, but there's a lot of elements about Libra that I have in myself. You know, I strive for peace, justice, and harmony in the world. And I try to give that, but I also demand that as well. I mean, I demand respect. I give respect and I demand my respect. I don't have to, not so much telling someone, but just who I am, my character. But when I met Tyson Chandler, he was on the SoCal All-Stars, Southern California All-Stars. It was a Southern California All-Star team that was formed. They had a lot of skilled players. I'm sure it was a lot of other well-known players on that team at that time, but the only reason why I noticed Tyson Chandler is because he was so tall. In 8th grade, Tyson Chandler was 6'9". Tyson Chandler was 6'9" in 8th grade. This tall, light-skinned dude. And he had a rare calmness to him. And he was very mature for his age as well, you know. When you would see him on the court, you know, you can't miss him because he's so tall, but you know, he was very laid back. His demeanor was very, very calm and confident. And one of the best players we had in the IE, especially in the Moreno Valley Riverside area at that time, was a young man named Jason Braxton. He went to one of the high schools I went to, that I eventually went to. But before he was a basketball player, I played football with him in junior high school, and then he got hurt, and then after he recovered from his injury, he decided to play basketball, and that was all she wrote. And he was really good in football, but I think he was better. He showed that he was better in basketball. So, but in 8th grade, though, before high school, Jason Braxton had the honor and the privilege of matching up. I mean, Jason Braxton was a guard now. He was like a shooting guard, an undersized shooting guard. He's about like a 6'1", so he can run the point, but he really played the two. So you can say he was kind of like an Iverson in a way. And Tyson Chandler, while he's on the SoCal All-Stars, Jason Braxton is like the top guy on the Riverside All-Stars. And this game was at RCC. If you know about Riverside, you know what RCC is. Riverside Community College. Salute to the Tigers. Got a tiger right here. But real talk. They were in that gym. The RCC gym. And this was the most embarrassing game I've ever seen. This team that Tyson Chandler was on, the SoCal All-Stars, were elite. Their guards, their shooting guards, their forwards, their power forwards, including Tyson Chandler. I was like, damn. And I didn't really know who Tyson Chandler was like that. I always knew that there was more talent and more grit and more toughness coming out of LA than the Inland Empire. But I thought, I was confident, that like, damn, my boy Jason Braxton and, the supporting cast are going to do a little something. I had some little confidence in them because I knew they were some skilled players. But shit, boy, was I wrong. I mean, compared to the SoCal All-Stars, Tyson Chandler was rebounding, blocking, dunking, just shutting down people on defense. His wingspan was unreal. So to be a 8th grade young boy that was the same age as me, 6'9", it blew me away. But I was happy to see him make it, into the NBA and elevate his career. And he can now sit back and reflect on his career and tell some stories that a lot of people don't know about with certain athletes that people admire. Like Kobe Bryant, which he was talking about Kobe when he was in the Olympics with him. But the final score in that game between the SoCal All-Stars and the Riverside All-Stars in the RCC gym, the final score was 100-15. I am not kidding. The final score was 100-15. And the final bucket that made it 100 points was a lob to Tyson Chandler, and he dunked it in right before the time expired. Man, that shit was crazy. That was epic. So if he ain't never told that story, I'm telling that story for Tyson Chandler, that they came to town when I was living in the IE. My mom was running track. Okay, my mom was making a comeback because my mom was a track star at one point in time. Matter of fact, she was elected to, I forgot to ask my mom again what Olympics she was in. But that year is when they canceled the Olympics because of some war situation going on in the country that they were in. But my mom was Olympic. She was Olympian. But then after she had us, me and my brother, she had her kids, she was trying to make a comeback. So she started training. My mom was getting her track training at RCC. And just this particular day, when my mom was training up there, it was like on a Saturday, I remember. It was like a Saturday morning, actually. It was a Saturday morning all-star game. And it just so happened to be at RCC, Riverside Community College, in the gym. And while my mom was out there training, me and my brothers, we slid in the gym. We was like, oh, shit, what's going on up here? And we saw my homie Jason Braxton, like, oh, Jason Braxton about to play. Oh, okay. And I saw how the other team, they looked big, tall, long, and athletic. Everybody damn near dunking and throwing lobs. I was like, sheesh. But, I was like, oh, yeah, they going to get them, though. The Riverside All-Stars going to get these boys, though. They just got talent, raw talent, but they ain't got no fundamentals and no skill. But, no, they had everything. SoCal All-Stars had everything. And I just remember this young man, Tyson Chandler, was on that squad, that 8th grade squad. They were 8th graders. It was the same grade as me. I was in 8th grade. He was 6'9", and he was dominating. That whole team was dominating. But for their last bucket before time expired, to be a lob dunk to Tyson Chandler to sealed the deal. I was like, oh man, that's just so disrespectful. But I mean, what the hell? What you gonna do? What the Riverside All Stars gonna do? Try to fight the SoCal All Stars? Hell no. Nah. That's like the Tiny Toons trying to fight the Monstars. There's no way no. It would be a whitewash. So that was real disrespectful. I think if it was some like a team that was kind of like a little more hood, they probably would have tried to fight the SoCal All Stars for doing that, making it 115, and still just making it worse at the end. But at the same time, it was a learning experience that made Jason Braxton better, because when he got to high school and he ended up at Canyon Springs, which is also the same high school Kawhi Leonard went to. A lot of people don't know Kawhi Leonard's from LA, but if they do know he's from LA, he also went to school in the IE as well, and he went to Canyon Springs. I went to Canyon Springs. I'm just older than Canyon. I'm older than Kawhi, so I was at Canyon Springs years before him. But Jason Braxton, though, when he was there, the young man, he competed and he did well. After he graduated Canyon Springs High School, Jason Braxton was at Arizona State. He didn't make it to the NBA, but he definitely was, still one of the top players to come out of the IE. Jason Braxton and J.S. Nash, in my opinion, were the top two players, at least to come out of Moreno Valley. Jason Braxton and J.S. Nash. J.S. Nash ended up at Oregon State. He didn't go pro either, but then Jason Braxton was at Arizona State. But it seemed like everybody that came out of LA, though, or the top players that came out of LA, they went pro. So, see, it's a difference. But salute to all of them. Salute to Tyson Chandler. It's good to see him. It's good to hear from him. As far as in the on YouTube and in the algorithms, because he's been around. He's seen a lot of things, and he lived in the streets of Compton. He's been all over. So, he's seen a lot of things I've seen. And he's experienced a lot of things that I've experienced, and we've coming across him and seeing a young man like him, the same age as me, but tall and has a look and an aura where you knew something was special about him. It was good to see that manifest for him, and for that to be a big part of his career, because him playing basketball became his career, and it helped take care of him and his families. So salute to Tyson Chandler, and I just wanted to speak on that little memory I had, because that was an interesting time, and that game was probably the most lopsided game I've ever seen in my life in person. 100-15. SoCal All-Stars beat the Riverside All-Stars 100-15.